Welcome back to the Nonprofit Spotlight, where I am your host, Mike Gutzler, and we are spotlighting the people and organizations transforming communities through compassion, creativity, and purpose. Today's episode is all about the power of sport to change lives, not just on the field, but far beyond it. We're joined by the team behind 703 Warriors, a nonprofit youth-focused organization using soccer as a vehicle for mentorship, mental wellness, leadership development, and opportunity for kids across Northern Virginia. What started as a vision to create safe, inclusive spaces for young people has quickly grown into a movement, reaching hundreds of children and families, particularly in underrepresented and low-income communities. Through free and accessible programming, 703 Warriors is helping youth build confidence, resilience, teamwork, and life skills that extend far beyond the game. In just 2 years, they're on track to impact over 1,000 kids through 4 unique programs designed to meet young people where they are, emotionally, socially, and athletically. But this story isn't just about soccer. It's about belonging. It's about mentorship. It's about creating opportunities where barriers once existed. And it's about providing that community-driven change doesn't always require massive budgets, but just passion, people willing to show up consistently for the next generation. Today, we'll talk about the inspiration behind 703 Warriors, the real-life impact they're seeing in the community, the challenges many families are facing accessing youth programs, and how partnerships with other organizations help expand their reach. Today, I'm excited to welcome to the podcast Anees Merzi and his vision and his leadership and his extraordinary perspective on youth sports, soccer in particular, and the motivation that he has to make a change in his community and all of our community here in Northern Virginia. Anees, welcome to the podcast. So glad to have you here.
Oh, I appreciate it, Mike. It always makes me emotional just hearing all the things we're doing for the community. So I greatly appreciate you having us on and talking through this stuff together.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you. So tell us a little bit about the story behind 703 Warriors. Like, how did the organization get started and what inspired you as one of the founders and the other team people that were around you getting it off the ground?
No, thanks so much. Yeah, so it was always running as I had kids, right? It's something that started as just like a play dates. Like, hey, I don't mind giving back to the community. People want to come out, just join this text group and come on out and have fun playing soccer. Regardless of if you signed up or registered, whatever, just come on out and have fun. And I quickly realized as I saw our group growing and kids scootering by, walking by the park, parents saying like, hey, those kids look like my kids. Like, how do we register kind of thing? Like, this looks like a comfortable place for my family. And that's when it kind of hit me over December as I'm thinking, the time when you want to be grateful for things and you kind of reflect. And I was reflecting saying, you know what? Why don't I just do something about this? It's something I was always passionate about doing since I faced some of these barriers growing up. And let me just do it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least someone tries. I just felt like no one actually has tried to solve anything around this. A lot of people talk about the problem, but no one ever says, you know what? Let me just try and maybe it could work. If it doesn't work, there's a reason why no one's doing it.
Nice. And then, so did you have other people with you or was this just your inspiration? Like, how did you get it off the ground in that way?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly did a lot of the work. Most of the people that showed up were folks that had kids in the program. They're like, you know what? I'm already invested. There needs to be some motivation, right?
Yeah.
Mine, obviously, I'm able to do a lot more because I was personally impacted by this growing up. And then also I've just said, you know what, I'm going to own this thing, I'm going to build the foundation, give it a chance to succeed. And then if it does reach that point of sustainability, we can start looking towards scaling it and bringing on the experts that we desperately need in the nonprofit space, those paid staff to really take it to where it needs to go for the community. I just knew we couldn't start there. We got to start very grassroots startup. And a lot of those families that showed up were the first ones that actually pitched in and helped out and said, you know what? I don't mind setting up some cones or bringing the balls to practice. Everyone just doing a little bit, as you know, creates that ripple effect and it turns out to be what you actually need without a lot of money and resources.
Excellent. Nice. So your mission focuses on using soccer to teach life skills and promote well-being. Why soccer? What makes it such an effective tool for developing players, athletes, and inclusion in your community?
I think in general, sports is open. My heart has always been with soccer. Even though I played football in high school and football in college over at West Point, soccer has always been my true passion. Football, I was seen as, hey, I'm doing good in this thing and it's getting me places that I wouldn't have ever been able to get to. I'm just going to do what it takes to continue. And, that only gets you so far, right? But it got me to where I am today, where I can go and give back, have some more flexibility and time to help out the community. It wasn't really like if it just depended, right? Like soccer just was the passion inside of my heart that was burning as a sport that I would love to coach. The other sports I do coach with my kids too. And I don't mind if someone came up and said, "You want to coach a volleyball team?" I'll coach the volleyball team. It doesn't matter. I
Yeah.
think soccer is just one of those sports when you look at the kids and the ones we're trying to impact, it's the one that a lot of them gravitate towards. So
Hmm.
it seemed back when I thought like this is a good tool to bring them in, kind of like the bait and switch. We do have a competitive soccer program, but a lot of the kids, when you mention those numbers and stats, those are coming through our foundational program, which is youth development, which is beyond soccer. Soccer is like 1/5 of the activities that are going on. And that's where you bring in these other partners, these expert leaders that teach financial literacy, online safety, mentorship. And we could dive into those things as we go. But those are the things that I think give us the biggest ROI because when you think of our mission, it's really to equip the kids with the tools where they can be successful and win at life. Soccer wasn't mentioned once in that sentence. And there's a reason. At some point, soccer is going to finish and they're going to need to fall back on those skills, those foundational pieces that we hope to teach them at these foundational years.
That's really well said and fantastic, just perspective to go into everything, not just being out on the soccer field in itself. Thank you. Going back to the Three Warriors program as a whole, within that you offer, I think, 4 different programs. Can you talk us through each one of those and what makes them each unique?
Yes, of course. It's been a journey. We've been very agile, flexible on really what's best for the community is kind of our bedrock. You think of your North Star from like a business term, you think of like the customer's your North Star, right? It's the same thing when you think in the nonprofit space. It's the customer, and in this case, it's the families and kids we serve. And as we brought them into this youth development program, which only happens once every 2 months, where we have this big thing where the Secret Service comes out, the National Center for Missing Exploited Children, Travis Manning Foundation, Girls on the Run, all these great partners come out and teach those kids those foundational skills, beyond soccer. We've had parents come out and say, "Hey, how do we get to that other program, the competitive? Like, I want my kid to be on a team. You said there was some team thing that meets, twice a week and does competitive soccer. Like, what's that?" And I thought back as I've told these families, you know what? Your son or daughter is not ready yet for the competitive soccer program. We don't want to go to these tournaments. One, get killed. That doesn't prove anything. The other, I want to be a good steward of the money that we're being given. I'd rather push those kids if they belong in recreation soccer. They just want to have fun and play. Go over to recreation soccer. I have all the resources that we can get you if you do require free or reduced programming for your kid. I can connect you with those folks. Let me get you over to that.
Mm.
And as we continued the program, like I felt like that wasn't the right thing to just offload people right away. So I said, well, you know what? I can give them options. Maybe that's one. And why don't we create this program once a week called street soccer, where kids can just come out. It's like basically an organized pickup game where kids just come out to the park. We set up games, we give them pennies and just go have fun. Go play. Maybe that can upskill your kid a bit because they don't play anything else, right? Come on out, have fun. It's free. And if the kid shows some semblance of like talent or, aptitude, then we created this next program called Community Fitness. And that's more focused on individual skills. So footwork, agility. And again, all this is trying to upskill them so they can get to the competitive soccer program and actually compete at the high levels that we're playing at.
Nice. And so just thinking in my head, this is all located in the Arlington neighborhood. Is that correct?
Yes, we have 2 locations. So for the boys, predominantly it's all in Arlington at 2 different schools. And then we're starting a girls program in Alexandria. This is something that we just posted about in our blog
Mm.
about how we've just failed girls in general. And I can dive into kind of, we want to be accountable. These are things that we try to teach, the kids. And I can't teach the kids if I'm not living it personally, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to sit here and give you all the good news stories of, oh, we're doing awesome and don't look over here, don't look behind that door. That door for us is the girls program. Specifically for the competitive soccer, there's no real avenue for the girls to succeed or thrive in the space that we've created currently. And that's the one in Arlington with the boys mixed in. It's just not ideal. Girls develop different, especially at that 7-year-old, right? A 7-year-old girl is not the same as a 7-year-old boy, especially one that's really competitive, not passing to the girls, pushing the girls, maybe speaking mean to the girls, right? Like, oh, I don't want to pass to you, you suck, you're making us lose. No
Hmm.
one, even a girl or boy, does not want to hear that. That's not good for confidence. It's not good for the things that we're trying to teach. And so a lot of them I've had to tell them, look, just don't bring your daughter because I don't think it's a good experience. That's just not good. That's not what we're about. So the reason I mentioned the other location, we have another dad that kind of stood up and said, you know what? I coached soccer before I had kids. I coached at a couple colleges. I know soccer. I love to contribute. My daughter's rising up in age. I'll take it on, I'll take it myself. And let's start something in Alexandria, just on the border of where we participate.
Hmm.
Let's have a separate location, separate space, separate time, just a space created uniquely for the girls so they can also thrive and do what we're doing with the boys on the competitive side.
It's fantastic. Yeah, and I totally appreciate that, having a daughter of my own, that there is a unique way to coach and increase the quality experience between boys and girls. Thinking about that and expanding your program into a women's only program or girls only program, I mentioned in kind of the opening credits about how you have served over 1,000 kids in just 2 years of existence, which is an extraordinary number and reach that you've already accomplished. So, what's the drive, or what do you think has been the drive for such a strong community response and participation? Like, what keeps bringing people to this very attractive program that you've created?
I appreciate that. It's always humbling to hear, this space that we've created and hearing it from others saying, hey, you've made something special to the point of we've been approached by other clubs saying, why don't you just work for us? You've solved something there, some secret sauce. So anything I tell you, we're going to have to take off. Nah, this is
Yeah,
kind of some of the secret sauce of, just building the relationships and showing that you care. These are all things that aren't rocket science, right? Like genuine care. I'm not just here to collect. It also helps that we're free and I'm there and I don't take a paycheck. So people see this is a true thing, right? There's something there when you see the trueness of I don't have to worry about this driving my paycheck or my livelihood. They don't have to worry about how do I afford to pay for this thing and now I expect some professional service, right? There's something there that creates this safe space for people to like kind of lower their guard and really just be direct with each other. And that's really how you build those, right? That trust, that relationship. And those people, they tell their friends in their building, hey, I saw your daughter, like she should come with us,
yeah,
why not? Like this thing is free. Just come on down. There's no obligations. That's, I think, been a big part of our growth has been the word of mouth and building trust within these communities, primarily immigrant families,
hmm,
Ethiopian, Somalian. A lot of those families have started to come out and they just tell each other. So I think a lot of it's just the kind of the word of mouth has been driving a lot of that.
yeah, that's beautiful. So, thinking about all those kids that you've impacted and the different families that come to mind in terms of ones who've really embraced your program, can you think of one particular success story that kind of speaks to what the program has done for either an individual or a family?
Yeah. I mean, the one that always comes to my mind is this kid, we'll just call him Jay.
Sure.
Just seeing him come, have his mom basically, "Hey, I got your number from someone." This is how we met, right? "I got your number from someone. I really need help. The counselor is trying to work with him at school. He's having trouble with the staff and the teachers on respect." Like a lot of things we're trying to teach in our program. And I was like, "Yeah, just bring him on, bring Jay out. Like whatever, it's no obligation." She's like, "How do I register? How much is it?" All the questions people ask. I'm like, "Just come. We'll worry about the rest later. Like, let's just get your kid here." The first day, the counselor brought him out. We could tell it was going to be a problem, cussing all over the place. It just wasn't ideal, but little by little, he just needed an outlet. And I think we're able to provide that. And where I point to when people say, well, what do you mean that you provide that? It's when a counselor comes up to you 2 or 3 months later and gives you a hug and says, you know what you guys have done, that I don't know what it is, but just keep doing it. Like, this is what he needed. Like, we
Yeah.
greatly appreciate it. And you can tell whenever we see his grandmother, she's mostly the one in the picture. You
Yeah.
can tell like she is down there making sure he's getting his stuff and going to practice. Like, you need to go there. Like, just get away. You need to be with those guys. And I think that's a story that we like to really point to.
It's great to see multi-generational investment in the younger people. And so you mentioned in passing before about how a good portion of the demographic that has found its way to your program is in either underrepresented or low-income communities. Can you talk a little bit about, from your experience working with that demographic, what are some of the barriers that they face on a regular basis? And maybe even if some of the ideas that has come up in the process through 703 Warriors about trying to remove some of those barriers or some things that have been helpful along the way.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. When we created the program, this still exists. We wanted to create it for everyone. It doesn't matter if you can afford it or not. The best kids are going to be on the field. That's what I created for. 91%, I have to go back and check our figures, qualify for the free and reduced meals program.
Hmm.
So the picture right now, the snapshot is definitely not everyone. It's a very specific what you're targeting, right? What you want me to dive into. But I just want to put that out there. Like when we started this, we wanted to create an alternative to putting my 8-year-old kid in a $3,000 program just to register them. And oh, by the way, I'm not going to put them in cheerleading, dance, because we're all in on soccer. We're doing that 4 days a week.
Yep.
And I don't have time. I'm not going to go drive 45 minutes to your game on Saturday and see you sit on the sideline for 20 minutes, right? Like that's just not, we're all in now. Like this is a full real deal. So that's the other side of the coin that we hope to reach at a certain point. Just not there yet, which is fine. We just want to be of service to the community. And this is the community we've been reaching. But going back to kind of your question on those barriers, cost is always an easy one to flag, but I
Hmm.
would, it's not always cost. It's, I don't get off work till 6 p.m. How do I get to practice at 5, 20 minutes away from my house?
Yeah.
You do the
Ske-
math, right?
what comes with some of the schedule flexibility of different economic demographics that some don't have that. And like you said, getting out at 6, that's the hard stop for work, not getting out earlier just so that you can get your kid to practice on time.
Yeah, and that's, I'm a single mother. The last thing I'm thinking about after work is running my kid across town. I got to clean the house. I got to get dinner ready. I got to get them ready for school tomorrow. Where does that leave time to actually take them to any extracurricular thing? The easy option for me as that type of parent is I come home, go sit on your tablet, like let me get some things ready, go watch TV, and we'll circle back for dinner, shower routine, bedtime routine, and good night. Right.
Y-
So like that's a big thing that a lot of people kind of overlook is this accessibility around time. Transportation comes up here and there, but with our WhatsApp groups, it's been helpful to kind of have the families talking with each other and communicating on, can someone help me drop my kid off for the tournament? I can get him after my shift, or just drop him here and I'll have my his dad pick him up or something. Like those are things that have helped around the transportation barrier. And I think the last one that it's kind of small, but it becomes a bigger problem, especially at the younger ages. It's around this like politics and clique kind of you don't feel like you belong because it's a certain person and group and you're kind of shunned because you're an outsider.
Yep. Yep.
Speak the same language, or maybe your English isn't as good, right? Like you just feel like you don't belong, right? So that's a whole nother thing. Even if you can do all those other things, there's just this environment where it's not welcoming, especially at the younger ages, where families have more say over what and how the teams are run. Once you get
Yeah.
older, it becomes a little bit more like, no, we got it from here. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. I think at the younger ages, you're kind of beholden to these politics that kids see. Even you'll see it at like recess,
Yeah.
all the kids decked out in Arlington soccer playing on the field. It's like, okay, me as a kid looking, it's like, how come I can't be like that? Like, and they're in some special club, like I'm not allowed to be in. I don't
Yeah.
feel comfortable playing soccer because they're over there like doing all these cool moves that I've never seen before. And it's almost like a turn off or I don't belong type thing.
Yeah.
So that's some of the things we try to combat, but those are the things that we've documented. Those are issues we're trying to work on.
Yeah. So knowing that to win a game, it takes a whole team effort to make the success. And so I mentioned earlier how you all have partnerships with different organizations or other foundations. So how do you partner with other entities and what have you found to be successful? And maybe you could share a little bit about some of the specifics.
Yeah, of course. So those entities, I feel comfortable. I can go teach mentorship, team building, stuff that I learned from the military or from playing sports, but I'm not an expert, right? At the end of the day, you want quality, high quality programming. And where these partnerships come into play is they're trained to do these type of things, right? Like I'm trained to teach kids how to evade a predator at a park.
Hmm.
That's what I do. I've seen millions of cases. That's what my expertise in. Why rely on Anees to do it when we have Pastor Mike over here that can do it? So that's one part of it. The other part is building legitimacy of what we're trying to do. It's a lot easier to show that we're legitimate when you have these big name nonprofits coming by and saying, you know what? We'd like to work with you guys. So those are the two big things in terms of the youth development program. The other partnerships come into play for field access, right? Another thing that's very expensive. Since we don't charge, cannot afford $70 an hour once every day, right? Like that's the 3 day, we do 3 days a week of programming.
Hmm.
That's to quickly add up, if you start paying that kind of fee. But if you do these partnerships and the paperwork that takes months, you take the time to do that, it pays off in the end, literally with dollars, but also it gives you access to all these things that we wouldn't have had otherwise without having these partnerships with the county and Parks and Rec. So that's one other partner, the other side of the coin of partnerships. The last one is really the equipment, balls, things that they're not big ticket items, but again, you start adding up the cost, it balloons very quickly. So we have these other nonprofit organizations like Good Sports and Goods 360. Those folks help us get basically very like significantly reduce materials or hand me down materials for free, which again, that can work with whatever you got. Those are all, at the end of the day, those are cones. I don't care if there's a little dirt on the cone, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So all those things help, but I'm hearing you say that you're still open to either individual donations or even commercial partnerships. I know some teams in the Northern Virginia area have, logos or other kinds of more corporate sponsorship. Are you open to any kind of donations, whether that's balls and cones to that kind of next level relationship or partnership? Give us an idea of all the kinds of ways that anybody could support the program as you see it and the needs that you have.
Yeah, we do have some small corporate sponsors. Target's probably our largest one. Still small, but for us, our costs are very low. It goes a long way. The dollar
Mhm.
gets stretched a long way. And without paying people salaries right now, this goes straight to the kids. So we're definitely open. It just takes time, with everything. Everyone, when they look at us on paper, are they going to fund this thing that's been around for a little over 2 years? That looks promising, but we don't know where it's going. Or are we going to
Yeah.
fund this thing that we've known for 20 years, full staff? The thing's going to keep humming along regardless if we fund them or not. Like, where do you go? Right. And we're at this crossroad of a lot of times they're picking that organization that's very established. So that's hurt us a little bit on the corporate sponsor side. I think we'll get there. It's going to be a longer strategic play. Right. So that one, we're always open to it, but I just recognize we can't put all our eggs in that basket because we're just not there yet. So that's the corporate side. Individual donations, we do a couple events. We have a run event coming up in June. These are fundraiser type things where people can come out, go for a 5K run, do something and feel good about yourself while also donating to cover some of the costs. So at the run event, I think it's $30 to register, and the $30 covers a kid's whole season. Not only getting to do the run and feel good about it, but it's like there's a tangible thing that's directly tied to it as me running with the $30 is enabling one kid to have this programming 3 days a week.
That's amazing. And how many runners do you get out?
This is our first time running it.
Oh,
So
okay.
we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be in the end of June. We're running it in partnership with another org just to try to test it out. We're trying to look at these kind of a big bash events for fundraisers
Oh,
because nothing, a lot of things we're looking at is very strategic. We're not looking at how do we fund for tomorrow or next week. It's how do we fund for 10 years from now?
yeah.
Because at some point, I want to be able to step away and have this thing grow without me and go to where it needs to go. We talked about the vision earlier, Pastor Mike. We picked 703 Warriors to serve this area, create a blueprint, but we would like to deploy this model, these 4 programs, to other area codes that could benefit as local chapters, right?
Yeah.
That's really the grand vision. And you can't get there with Anees doing everything. Like it's not sustainable. What happens if I step away? What happens if I miss practice tomorrow? Are
Yeah.
they gonna keep going? These are things that I fight through personally. So I know we have to do it very strategic if we want to get to a point where we can start bringing on the proper staff. We can have like an HQ Warriors that runs and enables all these nonprofit local chapters
Yeah.
underneath to do what they love to do. I don't have to worry about player cards. I don't have to worry about uniforms, registration.
Yep.
I get to do what I love to do. I like to go out there and coach kids for an hour. I'll do that for free. But who's going to do the grant writing? Who's going to do all those things that no one wants to do? Work on partnerships. That's where we elevate it to kind of that HQ staff that is paid. They're nonprofit experts. They've been in the space for a while. That's kind of the dream that I want to get to. And we can't do that with going down to an Italian store and saying, hey, can you give us $1,000?
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. And just to tie up that end with regards to donations, do you have a donation component of your webpage? Do you have like an Amazon wish list for people to buy the products, the balls, the cones, those other kinds of items that you might need?
Yes, we do have a donation link on the site. I think most people are comfortable donating through the Arlington Community Foundation, and it's called ACT, ACT. Those are probably the 2 vehicles that we receive most of our individual donations from because, again, it's a trust thing, right? They want to feel like it's going through a place that's been vetted and, like
Sure.
everything T's are crossed, I's are dotted and all that.
Yeah. And then how about equipment? Do you take donations for equipment?
Yes, the partnership would level the playing field. actually makes it very easy to accept a lot of, used balls, used cleats. We just gave out, I think, like 60 cleats to the kids,
Sure.
shin guards, goalie gloves. So Level the Playing Field has been a great partnership in that regard. I coached a kid in our neighborhood and I saw his mom outside when I was riding my bike last week. And she's like, "Hey, I have this bag of balls. Like they're size 3. Can you use them? I'm just going to go drop them off in the box over there." I was like, "Yeah, I don't care what size. I can give them to the kids." So I'm not going to refuse anything. I'll just give it straight to the kids.
That's great. So, as you think about where you want to go from here, and you kind of touched upon it, like how you're planning programming for 10 years from now and trying to create that kind of nest egg to grow incrementally. But in terms of the programming or the program as a whole, how do you see yourself 3 years from now and 5 years from now in that kind of range?
I think we have some milestones. The first milestone was creating the pilot team and saying, let's take them to tournaments and let's be competitive. That was the first milestone. The next one was let's win a tournament. Like let's show like we can actually do this.
Yeah.
So we knocked that down. The next thing was, can we do multiple teams? Can we actually do this beyond one team? So we grew to 6 teams. So I think we've knocked that one down. The next part of that is going up is girls. I want to have the same amount of teams that we have with boys on the girls side. And I think at that point, we say, look, we've reached year 2 or so from now. And this is a blueprint that is not only sustainable because we're running it for now 2 years with both boys and girls with no issues. Now, how do we scale this in the right way to have another chapter?
Yeah.
So that's kind of looking beyond 703. I think around that 3 year mark is really unlocking and enabling another chapter while simultaneously elevating the nonprofit to like an HQ status with actual staff. So I think that's kind of the 3 year mark is a lot. Hopefully that could come into play of not only bringing on paid staff to take the administrative duties, but also enabling another chapter to open up in some of their area code and do the same thing there.
Hmm.
Then I would say year 5 would still be probably, maybe exploring a pilot with another local chapter. By year 10 though, I would hope we would have basically this is the exact blueprint. It works. We've done it multiple times now. Who else? If you reach out and say, "Hey, I'm Pastor Mike and I'm in 305 down in Florida. I want to help out. How can I help out? I'm already doing something with kids. I have 3 teams that I coach and there's a bunch of kids from the neighborhood that just come out. I don't care. I'll keep doing that. But what bothers me is the kids don't have like a pathway to go anywhere. They don't have uniforms. I'm having trouble finding balls for them. And I have to ask them all to like crowd fund basically. I'm fighting for field space. This is stupid. You already have all the stuff in place. Can I just jump on that? And you guys just enable me with the stuff I need to serve the community.
And that's what is at the heart of all these things is like serving the community, right? Serving the kids that are in the neighborhood that otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to play on a competitive team that get to connect with your program and your leaders and your mentors and everything that you bring to the field that's not necessarily soccer related to make a positive impact that makes a greater impact on the whole and the neighborhood and everything that's involved with it. So that's awesome. Any other things that come to mind for you that we didn't talk about that you'd like to touch upon, or you think that is important for for the listeners to know?
I would say, on that thread, a lot of these kids, I'm going to be honest, they could be in basketball, football. That's probably where they're going to end up. But I don't want them to show up to middle school or high school at a significant disadvantage. I want them to show up with the skills that we've given them, that foundation, to where a coach looks at them and says, man, that's an athlete I can do something with. And also, there's all these things are removed of they're not cussing, they're not fighting on the court, they're not crying on the side because no one's passing to them. They
Yeah.
know what it means to play on a team. And now I can work with that kid. I'm going to invest in that kid. What's happening today, unfortunately, is a coach looks at 2 kids, looks at one that's been in the system as a robot. You say do X, they do X.
Yep.
They're going to be at practice religiously. If you tell the parent, hey, can you do some extra shooting with them? They're going to go hire a private trainer and they're going to do the extra shooting. Or you're going to take a kid that's like, I just had that kid for like 2 years. He's going to be the best on the team, but I have a game next weekend. Am I going to take that kid or am I going to take the kid that I know is going to do exactly what I need to do to win? And 9 times out of 10, unless that kid's like an all-star, they're going to take, the kid that kind of institutionalized in basketball. And so that's something we also look at is like, this isn't just a pathway for soccer, it's enabling them to just have a solid foundation to go to wherever they need to go, where their passions are. Let's help you get there and not be significantly behind. And when I mentioned pathways, when they graduate from our programs, a lot of these partnerships have been with local clubs. So it not only gives us a chance to go to these tournaments at significant discounts, but it gives us a chance to say, look, I know we're competing with you guys, but we cut off at age 12.
Yeah.
If you see a kid out there, you see Mike, you say, come on, hey, who's that? Is that Mike? How come Mike's not playing on our team? Like, what's the problem? Is that his grandma? Let me go
Mm.
talk to her.
Yeah.
That's what we also created this for is if you have a future in soccer, we're not going to hold you back. You graduate, you go play where you need to go. And they're going to work with you because they see the talent of their kids. They already know the talent of their kids. They see you and they say, invite him out to a practice. Let's see how he works with us. So that's something else that we've started to formalize with clubs is these pathways where, hey, can you give us a chance with a kid if we think they belong? So Arlington soccer has been great. Alexandria soccer is probably the strongest in terms of finding a place for the kid, whether
Hmm.
that in their coaching program, hey, go earn your license and maybe you can coach soccer since that's your passion, but it's not definitely as a player, or a ref, go ref our rec games, make some money right on the side as a 15-year-old, that's probably interesting, all the way up to you're on the top team and you're going places. You stay with us and you'll get somewhere.
Beautiful. Anything else that comes to mind as it relates to impact you're having on the neighborhood or things that you've seen from doing this for 2 years in terms of a change?
I would say the biggest thing that comes up is a lot of people want to help, but they're like, how can I help?
Hmm.
Beyond what we talked about, the donations, right? Like that's a whole separate thing. But like, how can I actually help? I don't mind coming out once a month and contributing.
Yeah.
And that's how we made it super flexible, where folks can find us on Volunteer Arlington or Volunteer Alexandria, the two kind of main platforms we have, or they can reach out directly to us. But basically, showing them how easy it is to just come out and just run a drill. Like we don't ask you to come out and coach a whole team. You come out and say, look, today your drill, it's a 3v3 drill.
Mm.
That's it. And you're going to have three kids on the side. Whoever scores stays on the game. The other team switches, right? A king of the court type thing. That's all you're doing for 10 minutes. When I say rotate, send them that way. I'm going to be here if you need help. And guess what? The team come in from the other way. Guess what you're doing? The 3v3 drill, right? Like it's not rocket science. You can show up and be impactful. So I think the reason I mention this is because a lot of people get hesitant on like, I don't want to register and let people down or not meet their expectations.
Yeah.
I tell people just come out. And it's the same thing we tell the families, like just bring your kid out. And if they don't like it, no hard feelings. I don't make more or less money if you show up or don't show up. This is something we're trying to create for the community, and just come out and try it. And we can talk about it afterwards if you're a volunteer. And if you're like, you know what, I don't think this is it. It's like no hard feelings. I appreciate you coming out. Let us know how we can help you. If you're a high schooler, we love to write paperwork for your college applications.
Yeah.
Do some credit hours. If you're like looking for something professionally, just let us know. We just want to be grateful for the time you've spent with us, regardless if it's one day or you come every day, during the week. We're
Yeah.
just thankful and appreciative.
It's almost as if in our increasingly isolated society, you're creating community within community. You're creating a new network of people that have a passion about sports, but also helping this particular demographic and giving them not only the ability to play, but the resources and the skills and the mentorship to be the future leaders of this community within your community, raising up the kids to be the refs and the mentors for the younger kids. And then they have access to a whole network of people that can help them, like you said, with the college applications and all those other pieces. Looking in from the outside, it looks almost magical. It looks like you're really doing something incredibly beautiful and extraordinary. And on behalf of all the listeners, thank you so much, Anees, for your time, energy, effort, and love for what you're doing. It's really something quite beautiful. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys having us on, and feel free always to reach out however we can be helpful. We just want to do what we can to get it to that the 10-year plan that we talked about, right? Like how do we get there and then work backwards together?
Yeah. And can you end with just where people find you, like your website and how to reach out if they have additional information or get involved?
Yeah, I tell people I can talk about this all day. And then my wife usually comes out of nowhere and just like pull me by my shirt and like, hey, you've been talking for like 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can talk about this all day. I'm obviously super passionate about it. But I tell people, you don't need to listen from me. Go Google 703 Warriors. You'll see our website. You'll see social media. You'll see what people are saying about it. There's no secrets. We have everything out there. There's
Yeah.
pictures, there's videos. It's very easy to find us. Anyone can type in 703 Warriors and find literally all the entries up until like page 3 or something about the program, whether that's on Candid, where we have the platinum transparency on all the things, that they look for nonprofits, all the way to, hey, here's our YouTube channel and these kids having fun doing like a penalty kick shootout or something.
Yeah.
There's so much online about us at this point that it's very easy. And feel free to always shoot us an email. It's just 703warriors at gmail.com. Whatever you're comfortable with, there are ways to find us. Even if you went on the website, we had a guy actually, Mike, we had a guy show up last week and he looked at our website. On our website, we have the location and time of every training. And I kid you not, he showed up and he's like, I just had to see what this is about.
Yeah.
I just wanted to show up unannounced and just see what you guys are doing because I love it. And he's in DC. He's come now 3 times
Hmm.
to help out. He's like, I just feel like energy whenever I leave this place with all the kids. He's like, I don't have a family. This has been giving me something to do and give back after
Yeah.
work, just kind of decompress and find the joy again of like sports.
Yeah.
So these are the things that, going back to your question, like how to find you. It's very easy to find us, maybe too easy. We want people to find us. We want people to share feedback because that's how we've been changing the program. We're not perfect and
Yeah.
we're not over here saying this is the perfect model. It's a pro academy. We're going to get your kid to X. The stuff for us, when you think about success, is really getting the kids either to that larger club or to middle school with that solid foundation and go find your sport, whether it's soccer in middle school or some other thing. That success for us is graduating from our program and breaking cycles in the future.
Excellent. Mentioning how valuable your time is. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today off the field. And on behalf of all the listeners, we wish you the very best and hope we can circle back around and have a conversation in the future again.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Pastor Mike.
Yeah. Take care.